is.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you for being part of the Small Business Saturday series.
It's a pleasure and an honor, and totally appreciate what you're doing for the community. It's awesome.
Well, I'm so glad I see your face because my last interview didn't go so well. We had some major technical difficulties, but we figured it out. You know, that's the lesson I've learned with all of this COVID is you learn to adapt, right? You learn to adapt.
You have to.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to jump in, Jay. So it's so funny. I was just introducing you prior to you jumping on, and one of my landlord friends up in the Northeast said they just signed a lease with Painting with the Twist in Buffalo.
Nice.
So yeah, so we have leasing people, landlords, brokers, and other small businesses that are part of the audience. So, and a lot of South Florida people that spend money, Jay. I want to introduce those people to you today and introduce you to them. So
Nice.
tell us about when you got started with Painting with a Twist. And I know you told me you were in the finance industry. So how did this all come about? Tell us your story.
All right. Well, I'm actually a native Floridian. Not many of us my
No,
age.
that's
Yes.
unusual.
Born and raised in the county of Dade, as they say, and migrated into Broward County. And yes, as I mentioned to you, I grew up in the financial world. That's what my father did, kind of followed in his footsteps and did that for a lot of years. And several years ago, I retired from that business. It was just enough. I did my time, took a little time off, and then realized that I was, too young and needed to do something. I wasn't sure what, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, you should be in business for yourself." And I said, "Well, I'm not that guy in that commercial where, you want to have a vineyard when you retire and all that stuff." I didn't really have anything particular. And, the wonders of the internet, I just started searching around. I said, you know what, let me look at franchises and see what comes up. And like for most people, a lot of that stuff is either, priced way ridiculously or just businesses that offer little interest. So as I was doing my research, and this was probably about 3.5, 4 years ago, Painting with a Twist kept on coming up in my searches as this up and coming top 300 or 400 franchises in the country. And I read the story and I'm like, hey, I like art. I love music, and I really enjoy not wearing a suit. So at this point in my life, so I did some research and I reached out to the people there, had a great conversation, and their process was, okay, they do their due diligence on me, fill out the application. They approved me, and then they said, okay, well, if you really want to proceed, you've got to come up to the home office, which is in Mandeville, Louisiana. For those who don't know, it's across the lake from New Orleans, or New Orleans, as they say. And went and I met the people, and I was just sold. The people they were amazing, and just it felt like home. It really, I can't describe it any other way. So I said, you know what? The heck with it. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it. And it was relatively reasonable to get involved. But also because of my finance background, I didn't just dive in willy-nilly, and I really researched, and as anybody should in any business or venture or investment that they're going to do, as a real estate person, I don't have to tell you that. So I went in with this, not as, which a lot of people go into businesses for the wrong reasons. That it's a lot of times I had a great experience about something, so people come into this business because, wow, it's really fun. But no, it's a business. So it's business first, then it's fun. And so I came in never doing this. I came in as an opportunity, as a business venture, something that I might be able to do for a while and have fun doing it. and I know I heard you say this, and it's super true, is, you know, it's not work if you love what you do. And boy, I turned out this, don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work. I mean, I do stuff, and I'm sure just like you, 7 days a week. It is a business, but I love this business, and I love the customers, and I love my artists. I don't call them employees. They are my family. They are my people, and we have a lot of fun.
So tell the audience what the business is. So what is Painting with a Twist?
Okay. As not to be too fresh, but I like to say it's adult entertainment while keeping your clothes on. I mean, it's really, yeah. I mean, it's really a form. Well, all joking aside, and I kind of hashtag this on everything that I do, art therapy. Art is an amazing thing. It evokes all kinds of emotions, and provides a lot of therapy and relief for people. And so it is a therapy in a way, but it is, it's an alternative, what I would consider an alternative means of entertainment. For those who come into the studio, they come in, and it's called Painting with a Twist. The twist part is, for those old enough and so inclined, they can bring in adult beverages of their choosing, right? Every studio is different. My license that I have is as a bottle club, so that allows people to bring in whatever they like. I don't sell. They can bring in whatever they like as long as they're 21 or older. And that's the twist part. So a lot of people will bring in wine. They can also bring in food, wine, cheese, whatever. You know, some people don't drink, or they just don't feel like drinking. And people come in and they sit down with their friends and their family and their loved ones. Sometimes they come in by themselves, and it's just a social thing. And they sit down, and they're given everything that they need to paint. And I have wonderful artists who get up on the stage, and they walk people through step by step to do a painting. And that will be anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours, just depending upon, you know, the subject matter, the type of painting, that sort of thing. And it's just really, it's a beautiful thing, because people walk through this door. You know, my studio is an open, welcome thing. And what's really frustrating for me is I come from a family of huggers and stuff, and so people now come in, I'm not going to be able to hug them and shake the hands and kiss and all that stuff. We'll have to do it, you know, through the air. But, you know, this is a welcoming place that, you know, everybody, you know, it's a safe space. It doesn't matter how old or young, your color, your religion, your identity, your age. It's just a beautiful place. And really, the beautiful thing about it, where it pays me not monetarily, but in the beauty of it, is that I'll have all kinds of people walk through the door, don't know each other, and are very different people, and they sit down in the same room, and it becomes this little mini instant community, and people are talking to each other. It's not with the phone. I mean, people are taking pictures, but people actually have to communicate. They have to put their phones down, and they have to paint and pay attention, and they start talking to each other, and they start sharing and helping and joking on each other, and all kind. It's really you know, a beautiful thing.
Jay, that I love all of that. So Jay, I've been to a party, right, as a group, like someone planned a party and I was part of a group. So I know that you have a lot of those. Do you also just have like times where, like you said, one person could come in? So do you have like these open hours where people can, just individuals who don't even know each other can come in, or how does that work?
All right. So living in the past, the world was that you know, I do public and private events, and I still do that. It's just going to be a slow grind for people to start feeling comfortable to come out and be in social situations like that. But to answer your question directly, yes, we have. Excuse me one second. Let me just send them a message that I'm in a meeting. Okay. So yeah, we have public events and we do private events. Public events are paintings that we put on our calendar, set schedule, at set times, and you know, people can sign up online. They can pay at the door, And as long as I have like 3 or 4 people in an event, I'll do it, because just talking, and I'm really brutally honest about stuff to people straight up. And it also goes to customer service that, you know, if I have 3 or 4 people, my expenses are covered. So it's a win-win. My artists get paid, they get to come do something, and it's all good. So I can't do anything for just 1 or 2 people, but if it's 3 or 4, you know, I'll open my doors, I'll get an artist in, and that sort of thing. So we do have public events that, you know, under normal circumstances, and it'll get more normal as time goes on, I'll put stuff on my calendar at different times every single day. And then we also do a ton of private events. I mean, that was really bread and butter. And we have things that are available in the evening. It's adult time, period, end of story. But daytime, we do kids and family-friendly events, public and private. We do tons of private events for just kids, adults, mixed, you know, families, whatever it may be. We also, and prior to the pandemic, we do off-site events, whether it's at people's homes or have done big events, you know, team building. For example, I'll name drop here real quick.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of events at American Express over in Sunrise for like 40, 50, 60 people there. I've had a division or a team from Carnival Cruise and other local businesses, whether they've done stuff here in my studio. At the time, I could max out at 60 people. I can't do that now. Or I go to their place of business. And again, I've gone to people's homes. Now, under this pandemic, if you will, and again, I heard you mention about, you know, adopt and adapt. And one of the things that we've adopted and adapted, and I think it will be a permanent fixture in our arsenal of what we offer, is at-home stuff, where we have kits that people can order, they can pick up. If they meet certain criteria, we can deliver, and they come with videos, and people can paint at home. So the last few weeks until we were actually open, you know, that was the staple of what I was doing, and still will do. We're also going to add live remote for you know, private events if people or businesses want to do that. So you know, so basically, yes, we're doing it all. We have live public events that people can just, you know, date night or whatever, randomly come in, and they'll be sitting with other people, you know, spaced out, of course, and they can do private events. As a matter of fact, I have my first in-studio private event since we've opened happening tonight. I had a lovely young lady call me yesterday afternoon, saying, tomorrow's my birthday, I'm dying to do something. And she booked it, you know, be small, like, you know, maybe 8 or 10 people. And we're just thrilled to.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thrilled to have them. So yeah, public events, private events, team buildings. I've had events for everything that you can imagine. I've had, of course, I've had people be proposed to in my studio. I've had, you know, anniversaries, birthdays, of course, just family reunions, people getting together, celebrating life. I even had one divorce party. I mean, you know, you name it. You know, babies, of course, baby showers, everything, and everything that you can imagine.
That's,
you know,
awesome.
You can celebrate.
Has anyone contacted you from the school system about, you know, doing the art classes for like the schools now that they've been virtual or anything like that?
They have not. I will say this, it's been my experience that school teachers, and we love our school teachers. I'm a product of the public school system in Dade County, and my kids are of the public school system in Broward. We love our teachers, and I know for a fact that teachers love this stuff. And, you know, we usually do teacher events, you know, paintings specific for teachers and their classrooms and stuff every year. So I've done a lot of work with teachers. I've gone to schools and done stuff for the teachers and administrators there, and aftercare programs and what have you. So I have done that stuff. But in this pandemic, you know, people are just trying to, you know, find their way and figure stuff out. And as you can imagine, prior to this, especially in the public school system, budgets were tight.
Right.
And I do work tightly, closely with them on that. So no, I haven't heard anything from them, but, I'll be reaching out, and hopefully, they'll reach out as well.
Yeah, I know. I did a small business video 3 days ago on Thursday, 2 days ago, with Rising Stars Musical Academy. And Vanessa Valentine, I'm going to hook you guys together because she is talking to some school systems about the music. So music and art, there will be things, if we go to an A and B schedule, which is what they're talking about for the South Florida school system, they're not going to be able to fit everything in. And they're going to have to do virtual online offerings between the school system and then homeschooling. So I'm going to connect you guys. Okay.
Awesome.
So can you show us around the studio?
Sure. Now I've been in this location. I've been opened a little over 2 years, and I usually every so often will refresh it. I just literally stripped it down, painted everything. It is sparkling, brand spanking new. So I'm going to turn it around here. Here we have kind of a unique feature that's unique to my studio. We have this wall here that basically my artist, one in particular who did most of it, created, where people come in and they, how people are, they love selfies. And so they take tons of pictures there so that they can post it. It's good for them, and it's good for the business. So I'm going to go. So here's my front door, and I'm coming over here for a reason, because literally I'm right on University Drive. People can see this, and right across the street I'm looking. That's the bright red star of Macy's. So I'm literally right across the street from Macy's at the Westfield Broward Mall. And if you can now see out my front door, that's Boston Market. I share a wall. So it's easy to find. I'm on University Drive on the east side of the street, just south of Broward Boulevard. Here is my main room, where prior to pandemic, I could seat up to 36. I have it set up for about half of that right now, and we'll probably hold less than that just for the social distancing, especially in public events. This is the stage where my artists get up there and they will go ahead and perform their art, if you will. And then I have another room over here. So we do private events both in the large room and the small room. Again, prior to the pandemic, you can see that. This would seat up to 24 people. Right now I have it set for 12, and again, probably less than that for social distancing on a public event. So that's really it. It's a 2-room studio. It's plenty comfortable. It's brand shiny, spanking, squeaky clean, as I like to say. It's not the same without having a bunch of people in here.
I'm sure. Jay, when you decided to be part of this franchise, were you thinking always one location, or were you thinking maybe I would do more?
Great question, and my philosophy on that has changed. So my initial thought was, looking at strictly from a business standpoint, looking at the numbers and what I'm used to, I was like, all right, if it does what I'm hoping it does, let me get one open, running, and let's see what happens. And if it does what I hope it does, then if there's opportunity to then maybe do another location. I think it's kind of like having kids. Some people, when they get married and they say, oh, we're going to have 6 kids, then they have a kid, and then it's like, we cut that in half. Well, maybe we'll have 3 or 4, and then they have another kid, and they're like, okay, I'm done. So what I found is that what really drives my business, and it's pretty much true for any, especially small business, is me and what I do, and how much I really serve my customers. And there's only one of me. I have great artists, and I have some of them sometimes sit in for me when I really need a break. But there's only one of me. And after a while, I just kind of felt like if I continue to concentrate on this studio alone and up my game and I'm going to steal your thunder here in a second, do a little bit of old school canvassing. Right across the street from me is that mall. I'm not so much concerned about the mall, but behind the mall in little old Plantation, there's several hotels, and there's a zillion businesses, and there's hospitals and doctors, and there's so much opportunity for me and a lot of businesses right here in my city in Plantation. So my plan was to really start doing the old school, what I grew up in, cold calling on the phone, knocking on doors, that sort of thing. And then the pandemic hit. So my goal was, if I can do that sort of thing, up my game, also up my social media game, and increase my business, 10 or 20%, I don't need another studio.
Right.
I'd be happy with, pretty much where I'm at. And that was my goal. So now throw in the pandemic, and it's like starting from square one, earning back one customer at a time, hoping that, enough people still are employed and, eventually feel comfortable, in coming out and getting that art therapy that I spoke about.
Well, certainly, and we talked about this when we had our pre-call. You are a business of a want versus a need. However, I do think that businesses and corporations will be looking for opportunities to create therapeutic team building, because we've all been through, a world of craziness for 9 weeks. So I'm thinking, as I'm sitting here talking to you now, that I didn't think about this before we met. I have a small team of 6, but I could easily see us coming and doing, we've been under the gun for 9 weeks, right? I own shopping centers. I'm trying to get my tenants open. We're trying to collect rent. I mean, the stress and the pressure, and it would be fun for my director of operations, Josie, has done Painting with a Twist 3 times. So She would be all in, I know. So, and I've got Frederick, who's this, big guy, who's my property manager. It would be so much fun for all of us to go and just take a break and put our phones down and do something artistic. And, I'm going to set a time after I hang up. I'm going to call you back and set a time for my team, because we need a break and we need to do something together in the same room, even if we're, that's okay if we're set apart, but we haven't been in the same office for 9 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of businesses could use Painting with a Twist to get everyone back together and do something fun instead of working 24/7.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And again, prior to the pandemic, we did tons of team building, most of the time here at the studio, because they literally want to get out of the office.
Right.
When they come in, they can cater it. Sometimes they'll bring the adult beverages, and people get to kind of let loose and just relax. And another one of the cool things about the whole art therapy thing is that not only about people being able to relax, and different types of people blending together in a beautiful way, but I've also seen it on so many occasions where people come in as walking in kind of uncomfortable, and they're, especially the fellas, I will say this, and they'll come in and they're like, yeah, painting, really? And then, the old expression, if I had $1 for every time somebody said I can't even draw a stick figure. And then to have them come in here and then see them, kind of tap into something that they haven't done maybe since like elementary school, and just really get excited about it. And usually those people that are the most hesitant or reticent when they walk in the door are usually the last people to peel away from the canvas, because it just taps into something that I think is in all of us, but just hasn't been there for us.
Right, right.
So
Well,
it's a beautiful thing. So team building and that sort of thing, it's beautiful. And so, in this day and age, because of the social distancing and everything else, I've reduced my minimums where it may have been 10 or 15, depending upon whatever. I'll do a private event for 6 people.
And I think that we are. I know we have a pent up demand, right? Like I went out. I've eaten out for the last 3 nights, and every place I've been to has been packed. So I know there's a pent up demand for socialization. And there are businesses that I may not feel comfortable going into in a social atmosphere, but I think your business, I would feel 100% comfortable. So I can think of literally 3 of my groups, between my team and then maybe my family, my extended family, and then maybe my women's group. So I'm going to call you back. So I'm excited. And I wasn't even thinking that starting this interview. So that's what I'm hoping everyone else that's watching is thinking.
Well, as they say, don't threaten me with a good time, because we'll have one.
Okay, so I know you said you were in finance
yes.
for your career, but when you were growing up, Jay, did you do any entrepreneurial things? Like, were you the lemonade stand guy, or?
Again, a great question. I don't really recall. I mean, it's been a while. I don't recall doing lemonade stands. I know that I did some things, but what really stuck in my head about that is not so much being an entrepreneurial kid, but it was really more about my family and my parents instilling work ethic, moral compass, and that sort of thing. And I was fortunate where my parents were able and willing to offer to me an allowance. And when you're a little kid, to get $2 or $3, whatever it was, is a big deal. But I didn't just get the allowance. I had to take out the garbage and do whatever. So they instilled that in me. And then growing up, it was like, okay, you're not just going to get a car. You have to have some skin in the game. You need to pay for your insurance. You need to get a job, and you need to pay for your insurance, and you need to pay for your gas, and we'll help you with the car, and that sort of thing. So there was always that work ethic that was instilled. And then also, doing, golden rule, do unto others and do business in a ethical way, because,
Right.
it's a lot easier. It's just like, it's a lot easier to smile than not. So, that was that. And then, and I'll take it a little bit further than that. What was also instilled, not only with that work ethic and moral compass, but also community and giving back to the community. And that's, I can remember as from a little kid, this I do remember, of all the things that my parents did in the community, whether it was helping to raise funds, give their time, give their money, or whatever. And, fast forward here, and that's something that I've always been involved with. And just to kind of segue into one of the things that we do here at Painting with a Twist, is we have a program called Painting with a Purpose, which the founding women of Painting with a Twist came up with the concept. Simple concept, but a good one, which is we hold these events, and prior to the pandemic, I would do at least 1, if not 2 a month, where nonprofit organizations come in and they do fundraisers here. They do the paintings, and we donate 50, not 50% of the proceeds to the organization. I take it one step further. Not all studios do this, but I do, is if they want to upsell that event and charge more, I personally give 100% of anything above to that organization. So as you can tell, you can see I like to talk, but I just kind of segued into,
I love that.
a deeper concept of all of that.
That's awesome.
Maybe I answered your question, but
no, absolutely. All right. So as we're winding down, as you alluded to earlier, the word canvassing, you can see it's on my hat. I'm the canvassing queen. So you know what canvassing is because you've already alluded to it. So my question to you as a business owner, if a leasing agent, someone who fills vacancies in shopping centers, was to knock, come to your door in Plantation and see that you're not in the middle of a class or an event, and walked in and said, hi, I own shopping centers, in Boca, and wanted to find out if you were interested in opening a painting with a twist in Boca, how would you feel about that person walking into your business? Again, not while you were busy with a class.
Again, growing up although I was a financial advisor, and it was very professional, business, when you strip away all the glitz and glamour, it's sales. So I get it. So I'm not necessarily shy of or turned off by people who are trying to sell for a living. And to your example, somebody coming in, if I happen to be sitting here, I'm doing some paperwork, whatever, nothing's going on, and somebody comes in, it's all about the delivery. Somebody comes in and they're just nice and friendly and unassuming, and they want to talk to me about that. That wouldn't bother me in the least. I've had plenty of people come through my doors soliciting all different types of things, and if they're nice and respectful, I had a guy come in here and he opened up the case and he was pulling out steaks and fish and all kinds of stuff, but because he was super sweet and funny, I let him do his thing. So if somebody were to come to me, again, I'm a little bit different than others. It's all in how they approach me. But I'm always certainly open to listen, because you never know what opportunity will present itself. It'd be foolish not to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Okay. So I think we addressed your number one lesson learned from COVID, right? We talked about that. So now that we started to reopen, you, Jay, as a consumer, first place you want to spend money as a consumer?
I'll kind of piggyback from the gentleman that was on prior to me, and I think you've already mentioned this stuff. There is just something familiar and comforting and normal and healthy about going to a local restaurant or a local drinking establishment or whatever it may be, where it's in your community and you recognize people, and you can just sit down with a couple of people and just break bread and have meaningless conversation and just feel kind of almost whole again. And then, from the business side of it, as a small business owner, I certainly appreciate people who are trying to patronize my studio, and I'm going to do what I can to help people in the community. And we did do plenty of takeout from local businesses by my home. And certainly when I was in the studio doing some stuff, picking up food from local areas. So, and I know that that's an industry that is just devastated. So,
do you have a favorite Plantation restaurant?
Not particularly. That's a great question. Although I didn't grow up in this area. I actually am in Cooper City area, and then I grew up in North Miami Beach. So those areas I know like the back of my hand. There are still so many places here that I've yet to discover. In my little complex right here, I've got a restaurant called La Brasa, and we frequent that a lot. But there are so many other places I haven't even.
You have the mustard seed.
Mustard seed is, that's been, I consider it a kind of an institution for a long time. It's really elegant fine dining, and You know,
And,
I've never not had a good meal there. That's for
and
sure.
have you been in Cooper City to La Brochette?
Speaking of old school institutions, La Brochette's been there forever. I remember when I still lived east in Hollywood, driving all the way out there because my parents knew about it, and to sit down and have that little intimate dining experience, and that escargot, yum. Just, just
Well,
really, really
Jay,
good.
it's been such a pleasure. I am so happy that I reached out to you. I want to tell you that how we found Painting with a Twist is we were driving around in another market and saw a sign. And I said to my intern, oh, they would be great to have on Small Business Saturdays. Let's call. So thank you for being our guest this week. And I'm hoping that so many people, since Painting with the Twist is all over the United States, right?
Yes, I think we may have studios in all the states, or if not all, most. I'm not sure status now with the pandemic and everything, but
Right.
I know that Florida alone was, I think, maybe the second largest number of studios. We were somewhere close to 60 in the entire state. I think Texas was number one, maybe. So yeah, I know at least in Florida, you know, from Miami all the way up into the Panhandle, there are studios, and yeah, in most of the states, if not all of them.
Well, so I'm highly encouraging the audience to, if you're in South Florida, go see Jay and Plantation across from the Broward Mall. And if you're not in South Florida, go find a Painting with the Twist in your nearby community, because what a great way to go with a group of your friends or your family to re-socialize. You can sit distances apart and follow the new rules and just kind of chill out and find your artistic side, right, Jay?
Art therapy, art therapy. It doesn't matter, whether you're, 8 or 80. We all have it in us, and just don't be intimidated by it, because the artist, whether it's in my studio or any studio, or the videos that you can get, that sort of thing, they just walk you through, and you just follow along and relax. It's really it's therapeutic, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, go out and paint regardless of where you're at, because it's good for the soul. And if I may give one little closing kind of a thought is, of course, please, please, please support your local businesses. In this day and age, try to have extra patience. I'm working on it, because driving around South Florida, it's not easy. So I'm trying to have a little extra patience. Love one another. And last but not least, don't forget to call your mother.
Thank you, Jay, so much. I'll be calling you soon to book some private events.
I really appreciate this. I appreciate you and all that you do, and everybody out in the community. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Go shop local, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye-bye. Thank you.